I'm ready to start my demo. So I'm using soft vine charcoal to draw, and the stick was about 5 inches long. And for me, I might as well just break it in half right away because I always break them in half the minute I start drawing anyway. And this will probably get broken too. First thing I'm going to do is just put a little border. This represents where my frame would go if I would choose to frame it. And what it means is that I'm really composing to the actual shape of my, of what's going to show when it's framed, and not the whole shape. So I wanted to do this because I wanted to see if I could do something that was so neutral in color. And I've got actually all my grays right here next to me. So we'll just see how that goes. The light is really bugging me, but I don't want to try to set everything up again. Okay, so I'm going to kind of start and say, well, there's sort of a shape like that here, and then there's this shape here. There's that little leaf. Here's the edge of my vase. Sorry, you guys, I only have one pretty vase, and it seems like it's the only vase I paint. So that seems like already that is too far over. So I'm just going to check one thing, and that is the space between the edge of the painting. Yeah, so this space actually, for better or worse, is almost exactly the same as this shape. So I think this has to come over more. Yeah, look at that. That's funny. I started this as an oil painting this week too, and you know, I don't know. I've been bad about my drawing with my oil painting. I don't even want to spend a minute drawing. I just want to start painting. So that's what I did. I got this color for the background, and I just started painting the background and leaving all the negative space of the flowers. But it's funny because I've drawn that. This is the only thing I think that's a problem about making what we call mistakes or learning opportunities, is what a friend of mine told me. Yeah, so you draw it wrong, you create your learning opportunity, but then it's very easy to just keep seeing it wrong. So that's the only problem I see with creating a learning opportunity for yourself, is that you might, it's just hard to actually see that how it needs to be different. And I was doing the painting on just a little 5x5 thing. Like, honestly, I don't know what I'm doing with myself anymore. Anyway, yeah, okay, never mind. No more existential angst. Okay, I'm just trying to look at the shapes, the negative shapes created by the flowers. And that's one reason I really like things to run off the edge. And I had a teacher once that said every side of your painting should have a different number of exit points. So this one just has 2. And right now this one just has 2. But when I put in some more of the sort of flower shapes, there'll be multiple exits on this side. And wow, amazingly enough, and that's kind of what I wanted to see if I could do, is that I just can't even hardly see the flowers against the white wall. And I guess the thing is about oils is it's not the end of the world if you draw it so wrong. Like one of the things I started recently is just drawn so wrong. I can't even work on it. So I'm gonna put a grid on top of the painting. The painting's already started, but I didn't really draw. I'm gonna put a grid on top of the painting, and then I'm gonna redraw it on top of the painting I've got going, and then see how that goes from there. So that's oils where you can, you know, do anything. But in pastels, I guess I feel like I have to do more drawing. And I have for a long time said I wished I could do my composition, sort of my composition stage, and just skip the drawing stage, go right to composing and color. So far the way it's working is that it takes me a lot longer to actually do the painting because there's so many drawing mistakes that have to be gone back and corrected. And I don't know, if you're looking for speed, doing it right the first time is, that's a really good way to have some speed going. All right, I just feel like I need to just draw in where these really dark things are, because those will be very difficult. Also, the kind of placeholders are kind of, what's that word, guidepost, kind of to help me know where things are, because it's all a little confusing. And I know that if I don't get those in, it will be hard to put them on top of all that grayish white. So I'm just gonna put them in. And I just, full disclosure, in the interest of full disclosure, I'm not drawing as long. Well, I don't have to draw as long as I used to. Or maybe I'm just more easily satisfied. I don't even know. But I think if I wasn't here talking and all, I would, number one, be able to concentrate a little better. And number two, I would just spend more time on my drawing, because I'd be listening to a book, and then that would keep me from getting bored and like ready for the next thing. That to me, that's just been, for me, I know a lot of people like to listen to music, but I don't know. Music is too emotional. It's too upsetting. So I just like to listen to books. And lately I've been listening to American history. So there you have it. See, if I start to put that in, I find out this is up a little too high. I'll bring that down a little bit. And then there's this thing here. And I'm not thinking, oh, I'm drawing leaves now. That is not at all what's going through my mind. I'm thinking, here is this shape, this light shape against this dark shape. Holy cow. Yeah, and I'll just also mention I've got my easel up just a little too high. And honestly, I'm not changing it all now, because I don't know why. I don't know why I don't figure out some way to make it easy, but I have not figured out a way to make it easy for myself here in terms of setting up the camera and all that stuff. So to move it now would be a problem. But I do want to mention, if your shoulder hurts, or if your shoulder, maybe if it doesn't hurt before you start painting, but it hurting while you're painting, that means your easel's up too high and you're having to raise your shoulder while you're drawing. So that's not good over the long term. And have I fixed my easel that's got this big problem? No, I have not. And what am I thinking about right now? It would just be nice to throw this easel away and get another one. I might throw it away, but I'm not going to get another one. Okay, so I just want to check one thing. I want to check the width of the vase compared to its height. I just want to be sure it's kind of, oh my God, it's exactly the same. I really would not have guessed that, but look, I did it pretty good. But this is not right here. This is right here. And then this is a little smaller, and this is right in here. Right like that. Okay, good. And there's a little more space right in there. All right, so I was thinking of trying something really different for me, and that is starting with grays. A friend of mine, her name is Kim Darling, she did one of the most beautiful paintings I ever saw of white peonies, and it was just all in grays, and I just never forgot it. So, I don't know, I just thought I'd try it, because what the heck? See, and you know, it's like right away that might be too light. So I'm just gonna put it up here next to where that white flower is too. And I'm just, whoa, here we go again. In the cold studio. Like, I never drop anything otherwise, but I'm going to put it right next to that white flower. And the thing I want to mention is I'm calling it a white flower just because that makes it easier to talk about. And but I'm not thinking about it like a white flower. I'm thinking about it as just a shape. And I know I always am saying don't just start with white. So I'm just going to start with something else. And I just, so good. That helps me a lot because now I can see that actually this background color is not, that I will be able to make the foreground color lighter. So that's what I wanted to find out. God, it's a little darker over in here, so I don't think I'll use, and there's a little bit of a shadow right in here that I kind of like, that I didn't see when I was drawing. So I'm just gonna, now I'm kind of in betwixt in between here even more than normal because I've been moving all my stuff into my other studio, and so I don't have any tape here. So I couldn't tape this bottom edge, but what I used my double-sided tape. So I'm kind of wondering if that's gonna be a good thing or a bad thing when I go to take it off the board. But right at the moment, it's feeling like a good thing. All right, I want to use a darker color back in there. If you have a huge set of Rembrandts that come with all these grays, and thanks to my friend, I have a huge set of Rembrandts. The first new set of Rembrandts I've probably had in, golly, 30 years. It's pathetic, isn't it? So weird to be able to say such big numbers for how long ago something happened. And that's just a little bit darker, but this is a very subtle picture, so yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna bother to move this easel to my new studio. It's just too freaking annoying. And I don't know how I would ever get it there anyway. It's so tall. Okay. All right, so the next thing I'm thinking, and boy, do I want to use a color, but I'm just gonna kind of resist the urge. The next thing I'm thinking is I want to put in sort of the darks, the darkest darks in the flowers. And yep, so I said this is just the opposite of what I normally do. And are you the same color? They're all so close here, the grays. It's kind of amazing. So I can't quite tell if one is darker than the others. But this color right in here, nope, that's lighter than the background. So I need something that is darker than the background. So I think I'm just gonna have to be surprised here with how dark of something I have to pick up, because that was actually lighter. All right, so that's darker than the background, so that's good. And this is, so I'm putting in all these shadowy colors first, just for that simple reason that it's easier to get light over dark in pastels. And I didn't draw in all the light and shadow because that would be way too tedious for me to do. You know, it is so great if you have the concentration power to, you know, do a drawing maybe that's more careful and all, but I just don't, number one, I hardly think it matters anymore. Golly, that sounded terrible. So that doesn't seem dark enough for over there. Now I'm getting into things that look so dark on in my paint box, and everything's still wrapped, so Just having to break every single color. But I need something here that's darker than the background. So that silhouette thing of does something silhouette light or dark against another thing, that, man, I use that all the time. And I'm going to go with this in here. I think this is better overall for my darks. And you can see it's not the end of the world if you had to put a darker color on top of a lighter color. You just wouldn't want to be forced to put this really dark green on top of something else, I don't think. And of course you can always spray it, and that, you know, that saves you a lot of times. Also, I probably, well, I don't know, the red paper, like, okay, well, it's the only paper I had at the moment, so that's really why I'm using it. But a lot of times, that's kind of the case. You just do what you do because that's what you have. There's a little more background color right in there. All right, for unknown reasons, I can't find my piece of wood that holds my easel out. So it's just, maybe I could use a sketch pad. It always feels so kind of a half, whatever, half. But my teacher, his studio too, he had pieces of cardboard hanging around and all kinds of junk. It was all kind of, well, we used to call it jerry-rigged. Which I guess I can make that slur since I am part German. I just picked up the wrong thing, but I don't care. God, I just feel like we're worrying about some stuff too much here. You know, I don't know, I'm tired of worrying. There's a lot going on in the world that I feel really, really worried about. And so what if my painting doesn't turn out well? So what if your painting doesn't turn out well? Like, if you did the perfect painting, what would be the point of going on? So you might as well just kind of relax a little bit. Think of it as all an experiment. Yeah, why not? I like that gray because it's a little warmer than the others. And I guess that's partly what I'm going to be doing too. This, God, I guess it was just daylight. This was lit with just daylight, not with, oh God, I almost went for a color, but no, I'm not going to. All right, so I'm going to put in the really dark greens now. And I'm just going to do it with this dark blue, of course. Honestly, I thought it was the dark green when I picked it up, but then it turned out to be the dark blue. And I just said, wow, that's even better. And I've got to say, I am kind of making, my strokes are very much drawing strokes right here from the get-go. I'm not, I am thinking about the strokes. And I'm thinking about the color, but mostly when I'm thinking about the color is nope, don't use that yet. So I did have a show this weekend, or last weekend, and I sold a lot of work. But mostly what I sold were oil paintings. They just don't seem to get pastels here in Rhode Island. I think it's the influence of a, you know, fancy art school. Pastels are a little bit of a girl thing, in the same way that watercolor is. It's like, oh, young ladies study watercolor. And real men study oil painting. What row? Where is everything? I kind of covered up some of my... Okay, here's the thing. I guess I kind of covered up some of my drawing, didn't I? Would you stop it? Okay, let's see. What else can I put back there? How about my level? Yes, it's going to work. Okay. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff goes back a long way of kind of, let's see, what prejudiced against certain mediums. And even acrylics, you know, oh, that's what those modern artists do. All right, I think I got them all in. Maybe. Oh my God, I desperately want to use a purple, but where are my purples? I can't even reach them. They're way over here. Oh no, there's no purples there either. So, gosh, okay, but I'm not using a purple yet. I'm just gonna keep going with my big idea here. I'm just using this little warmer gray to, for better or worse. Oh, that's too much like up there. All right, well, here's a lighter one. Oh, except that, you know what? This is actually darker than that. Damned. Can I lighten this then? So just because you notice whether something's lighter or darker, make sure you notice which thing really is lighter and which thing really is darker. And here they just almost disappear into it. So. Also, I've painted a lot of peonies. This is not my first time to paint peonies. And the white peonies, I just love the white peonies. These, oh shoot, oh well, whatever. These were my really good friend's grandmother's peonies, and I keep moving them wherever I move. I move the peonies. Let's put the vase in too. And I'm just using those words because that makes it easy to explain right away. But what I'm really thinking is, let's get that dark shape in there. And it's funny, even though I'm flying along here, it's like I'm just at that little point where I'm a little sick of it. Just want to get it all covered so I can actually start painting. Because that's how it always feels to me. I have to get the whole thing covered and then I can start painting. You know, I do, generally speaking, love the red paint paper, but but also I just can't wait to get it all covered up. Oh my God. Okay, I just have to use a color here. Sorry. but it's quite a bit duller than my usual, right? Okay, and then all right, I think it's okay now if I want to use, it's okay, it's my painting, I get to do what I want. So I'm just going to start. Yeah, it's, like I say, it's kind of the opposite way of it that I usually work. And I am pretty much only working with the flat side of my pastel. Also, this is kind of makes this difficult is that it there's not a whole lot of value contrast. Oops, and that's, you know, usually how I create form is with value contrast. So I'm just kind of looking around, trying to see what places are a little lighter, what places I can bring up a little more. Been desperate to use some turquoise, so I'm just going to do it. And the good thing is I can always come back with gray. Don't feel like it's dark enough down in there yet. Okay, it's funny. I have done a good job visiting museums this fall. I was just at the Chicago Art Institute, a place I've wanted to go back to for like 40 years. And it was really incredible. I mean, if you just can go to one set of museums, let's say go to New York City, but I also had a really good time at the Chicago Art Institute. I was there for, I mean, if you're only going to go once every 40 years, I was there for about 5 hours. So definitely one of the most confusing layouts I've ever been in. So I did spend a lot of time walking back and forth. But what was kind of cool was I came upon rooms from different directions. And then what happened was I saw the paintings in a really different way because they just look different when you come from a different direction. All right, well, I'll let this stuff get too light out here, so let's knock that back down. See, that's kind of problematic, the way the blue went on top of that lighter color right there. Didn't really like that very well. And then there's some really interesting, I just can't tell what value things are really going to be until I put them on there. But there's some interesting warm colors that I'm not sure what to use exactly. Oh, shoot. You I'm going to have to look for. Here's another good idea is maybe just put some white paper on the floor here so you can find your stuff when you drop it. Nope, gone and lost forever. Oh, there it is. Fell on the easel. Wow, it's kind of terrifying to look back up at this. I'll let that get too small. Okay, over here, there's some more light. Down here, what am I gonna do? I'll just use that blue. That's gonna mostly be under the frame anyway, in spite of my best efforts to make it more interesting. And I'm gonna redraw right there. Yeah, so I think maybe I'll take a minute and redraw everything. But I gotta say, it doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect. All right, so it's really confusing, but this is supposed to be the background right through there. It's really, really hard to tell what value these are. I don't want to do the crazy step of like trying to set them up in order on my paper. That just seems nutty. Because that just seems to go against the way my mind works. But I just keep trying to think, you know, which thing, where is it darker than the background? Where is it lighter than the background? And I also just want to get some more of this red paper covered up. Yeah, and I know I have a tendency to exaggerate the contrast all the time, and I was just trying not to do that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to redraw some more. So anyway, so just kind of. Heaven only knows what's going on right here. Yeah, something. I gotta do something more in this. I gotta do some of this background. Kind of like that, and then kind of need to add that gray back into the other side. This is just too light. You can try to remember to move your clips and go clear out to the edge before you spray it the first time. That is a good thing. No, yes, is that you? Yes, it is him. No, it's not. Wow, that's weird. Okay. You know, we don't exactly just live in a vacuum, and I sort of treat the time I'm painting, it's kind of like it is a vacuum. But I do find my mind sort of flitting back to this and that. We just had the killings at Brown University and at MIT, and Brown is just maybe 4 miles from where I live. So in a way, you know, I am a part of my time here. I'm not just separate from it. And a great thing about painting is that it kind of helps you to de-stress. But I'll admit, it's like meditation, that every now and then your brain flips back to those things that are, you know, bugging you, because so that's kind of where I was just going right then. So I'm just going to try to stop it. And that's one reason I really like to listen to a book, because it engages that verbal side of my brain. And it's also probably why I don't really mind doing these demonstrations and talking the whole time and stuff. It's when I'm not talking, or when I'm just painting in silence, that things start to kind of bug me. And I'm just trying to make it better, and I don't know if I am, but you know, there's always that kind of awkward middle ground here in the painting. I got to do something up there, because that's too, I got to get some of that, more of that paper covered up in there. Okay, and what the heck? These are... You know, and maybe I would have liked this better. I mean, I probably would have liked it better if I'd started with the, you know, started with the turquoises and stuff, and then put the grays, pulled it down that way. But I just wanted to see if I could do it the other way. And I thought it might be kind of cool that there would just be a few places that were like, I'm not going to really do it yet, but, you know, my vase has got these nice little thingies that kind of like Corot. He would do his paintings really gray, but then there would be those little people's little red kerchiefs or hats or something, and that would kind of turn the whole thing into color. Yeah, my drawing is not right up here, but don't know what is going on. So I think I need to draw right you know, I just don't like using the pointy end of my pastels anymore. I was kind of getting tired of breaking them, so I thought I could maybe stand it, but I really can't. Some more darker stuff in here, maybe. Yeah, see, I just want to spray it so bad, but it's pouring down rain outside, so. Yeah, I can kind of feel my paper is getting kind of flaky. All right, well, I'm just going to see if I can spray it, even though it doesn't seem completely. Maybe I need to do some more down here. Boy, when you limit yourself to just gray, you really feel limited. So there's a little blue. And it's so funny, I couldn't really see the blue, honestly. But then as soon as I put the blue in there, I was like, oh yeah, I see that. And then I think I'm going to try a little more, something a little warmer.